Hi, my name is Jessica, and this is episode 2 of my journey with autism and specifically my evaluation process and my intake. I've only done my intake so far. My evaluation is in exactly a week from today. And so far, I have done the intake where I got to talk to the doctor who's going to be doing my evaluation and, kind of discuss why I'm choosing to pursue this and why, and what kind of the evaluation looks like. So, first off, I am pursuing this because as I'm learning more about myself, I'm realizing that a lot of these things that I've had over, my life and things that I've just kind of been adapting to because I've had no choice are actually could be signs of autism. I, from a very young age, learned how to mask and just fit in because otherwise it just wasn't acceptable, I guess. And I still didn't fit in. I was always, kind of the odd kid out, and it was just my experience. And at the time I didn't think much of it because I've never really been the skinny girl, and so I always thought that maybe it was a weight thing, it was a this thing. You always make up 100 reasons in your head, but honestly I think it was because I was trying to be like other people, but since I didn't really understand why they like certain things or why they, just did things the way they did, it didn't always make sense. And I'm realizing that I didn't really understand what friendship really looked like and what does that mean, because not everybody, does friendship the same way. And so, anyways, the evaluation, or the intake part of the evaluation, she asked me a lot about, my child and all that, and, what kind of things have led me to think that this might be a possibility. And the biggest thing is I didn't know what this evaluation is going to look like because I've obviously went through it with my 7-year-old son, but for children, it looks a lot different than it does for adults. For children, there's stuff for the parents to fill out and for the teachers, just kind of things that you notice. Do you feel that they're this way? Do they do these certain things? And with an adult, obviously they're not going to send it to your parents to ask these things, and they rely more on the patient to kind of provide answers. And so they do a 4-hour evaluation where she'll do, obviously I don't know exactly what it's going to look like because I haven't had it, but she said, we're just kind of do different tests and different things and it'll be all pretty easygoing, which sounds good because I wasn't really sure what to expect. I had looked on the internet, and of course, the internet, tells you all sorts of different things. And like one of the biggest one was I saw that somebody said that there was an IQ test for the autism evaluation, which maybe some evaluators do that, but I didn't really understand that because autistic people have, IQs all over the spectrum, just like them. There's some people that have really high IQs that have autism, and obviously there's ones that they have lower IQs, and it doesn't make them any better, any worse. It's just who they are because every autistic person is different, and so obviously their IQs are all going to be different. So I was kind of actually relieved to find that out because I'm not really scared of an IQ test, but I just didn't understand why it needed to be done. So the doctor that did it reassured me that, that's not the case. And it's going to be just kind of learning about me and how I work and what that looks like. So yeah, I'm excited about the evaluation. Obviously, I'm a little nervous too because, the unknown is always scary. And I've just really been thinking about, what would this mean if I am diagnosed? And because people always, that's the first thing people ask me when they find out that I'm going through this is, well, what do you get from it? Do you get special benefits? Do you get this, that, and other? And to me, that's not why I'm doing it. I mean, I'm not looking to get a handout. I'm not looking for anything like that. I am just looking to learn about myself and learn, if all these things that I've always wondered about myself and wondered why I was just a little different than everybody else, maybe it was autism. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. We shall soon find out, but I'm pretty sure it was autism, especially with learning about my son. And my son is actually a big factor in this too, because he doesn't really understand what autism is. It's really hard to explain to, an elementary school child or younger. It's just they don't quite understand, especially if it's not as obvious. Autism, is definitely a hidden disability. You can't just look at somebody and like, oh, they're autistic. I mean, some people think that because, they see lower functioning or what they say lower functioning. We don't really use that because it's, more of high support needs or low support needs. So I guess kids with like higher support needs, they say look autistic, which is the silliest thing. But, you can't tell just by looking at somebody. And so to explain it to him has been kind of a lot. And so I've been trying to, find different resources and stuff. And then the other day I actually told him that I was going through it. And he's like, wow, that means that you're different like me. And I was like, well, it might mean that. And it just means that we're a little special. Our minds work differently than other people, and that's a cool thing. And I've always kind of wanted him to feel like autism isn't something that's going to dictate his life, that he still has a choice and he's still going to go on and do amazing things, and that it's just, he's autistic. It's just a part of him, but we can still, manage to do amazing things. I really can't wait to see how he will turn out, because he's already such a loving, kind person and wants to fit in even when he doesn't, and treats all his friends amazingly, and then doesn't understand when they don't treat him the same way back. And it's a lot of the same struggles I had when I was younger. I've always been the friend that gives 110%, even when I'm not, it's not being reciprocated. Which, I truly believe that in a friendship, you should just be, you should treat people the way you want to be treated, I guess, the age-old saying. And I've come to realize that not everybody lives by that, and to see it with my son is hard because I know how heartbreaking it is. You just want everybody to be happy and to, love each other and just have a good time. And, you do nice things for them. And, not that they have to do nice things for you too, but obviously treat you right, because that's what a friend is supposed to do. And as somebody who has struggled with maintaining friendships and just not understanding why friendships have ended for no reason, friendships, I've been ghosted, just different things. And I know that's, just common no matter if you're autistic or not, but it's still hard because that happens a lot more, I feel, with autistic people. Just because, it's people like things a certain way, and sometimes an autistic brain doesn't fit into what they think is a good friend, I guess. And honestly, those people are just missing out, because even before I knew all of this, some of my best friends when I was, in junior high and high school had autism or had a different special need. And they were the truest friends that I could ever have. And most of those kids were kids that I worked with as a peer tutor, that mentally they were a lot younger than me, but they were 100 times better of a friend than people that were more typical developing would be. And I just, I felt bad too, because people kind of didn't want to get to know them, and they were some of the greatest people. And I still see some of them occasionally. And yeah, even when I started working in the classrooms, I even built a relationship with one of the little boys, and now he's a full-grown adult, and I got to go to his graduation party. I got to go to his 21st birthday. He's gone to my son's first birthday. It's just, it's really cool, because I think when you find people that just get you and are just willing to accept you for who you are, you just kind of stay together. So anyways, I just wanted to kind of talk a little bit about that and a little bit more of my journey, and the intake. So in a week we will have the actual evaluation, and it will be over a month until I find the results. So that's not exactly fun, but it is what it is. So, but I will be back to tell you how the evaluation went, and I might even throw in another video before then about other signs that I've seen in myself, a little bit more about me, a little bit more about just autism in general. So if you like this video, giving it a like would be amazing, but no pressure. And I hope you continue to follow me on my awesome journey. And I hope everyone has a great day.